If you've seen my Explora Journeys series, you already know that I enjoyed the experience. But that doesn't mean that everything was perfect. So here's my final review of my experience on Explora I. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Cheryl, also known as the Solo Cruiser. And today I'm finally sharing my experience on Explora I. Here's my final review. Now, this was my first luxury cruise, and since I don't have experience on other luxury cruise lines, now I do plan to change that in the future, I'm comparing my experience to my past experiences on traditional lines. And you would expect that to be better. So keep that in mind. If you've sailed on other luxury lines, you might have a different perspective. That said, I'll give you my honest take on what you can expect when you sail Explora Journeys, from the pre-cruise process to the onboard experience. Okay, now let's start with the booking process. Now, I felt booking was incredibly easy and simple. And with everything being included, I didn't have to go through adding on things here and there. So I didn't face any major hurdles, and the pre-cruise communication, that was great also. I was able to take advantage of a solo-friendly promotion where I sailed at 0 solo supplements for about $3,500. Now, for a luxury cruise, that was a fantastic price, considering that gratuities, Wi-Fi, drinks, and access to the thermal spa, which I love, were all included. Now, plus I got a full suite to myself. I really would not expect to find a deal like that. Of course, there always are some, circumstances where that may happen, but I wouldn't expect to find a deal like that as a solo in a suite on a traditional cruise line. However, that being said, there were a couple of issues. Now, the pre-cruise experience did have some hiccups, particularly with scheduling dining and excursions. So I did have some difficulty booking the dining, and I couldn't book the excursion I initially wanted, and then I missed out because I didn't double check early as soon as I got on board. But the excursion that I did go on was fantastic. I had a great time. So to me, it wasn't a huge problem. Now let's talk about the food. So the dining options on Explora I were absolutely fantastic. It was hands down the best dining cuisine and experiences that I've had on any ship. I dined at all of the included restaurants and the Marketplace Emporium, and everything I had was absolutely exceptional. Now, SIGCruiser, the Pan-Asian restaurant, that was my absolute favorite, and everything I had was incredible. The seafood salad, I had scallops and lobster risotto, and they were all standouts. Now, for those with dietary restrictions like me, their menus are marked for gluten allergens and nut allergens, and I found that to be a relief. I always find that to be a relief when I see marked menus. Plus, they noted like plant-based and other options, which was also good. And the staff was well trained at handling food sensitivities, which made dining much easier. And what was different to me was that I had staff that hadn't even served me to mention gluten-free options. And now I will admit that caught me off guard a couple of times because I was trying to figure out, well, how did they know? But it was very comforting that they were able to add that much attention to your restrictions and requirements. Now, the only thing that I could suggest as an improvement for the dining is actually in the pre-cruise process, where it really wasn't clear that you would have the opportunity to book the 2 specialty restaurants again once you were on board. Now, SIGCruiser and the Steakhouse Marble and Company, they had more limited capacity than your Med Yacht Club and your Fil Rouge. So it was understandable that they wanted to limit the reservations, the online reservations. And now, one thing about dining that I would list as a bonus is that there are no formal nights. Yes, you want to look good, you want to look nice for dinner. No jeans, no tank tops, etc., etc. But there was like no stuffy formal attire that you might expect on a luxury cruise. Now, I know some people like formal nights and the dress code, so they might find this to be a negative, but I liked not having that expectation that you have to really dress up just to go to dinner. Now let's talk about the ship itself. Explora I is gorgeous. The design is sleek, it's modern, it's luxurious, and the vibe on board is sophisticated, but still relaxed. And there are so many spaces to enjoy some of the downtime and to socialize. Now, I did read that the ship was designed like a luxury, all-inclusive hotel, and it definitely gave that feel with the layout and the decor. Now, as a solo traveler, I really appreciated how easy it was to find quiet spaces for like reading or relaxing, while still having plenty of opportunities to connect with other guests, you know, when I wanted to. Now, I honestly don't have many complaints about the ship itself because it is absolutely beautiful. But I heard one complaint from two people about a lot of the seating being kind of low. Now, while this may have been a negative for some, for me, it was a bonus. Because being 4'10", I could finally sit in a cruise chair and have both of my feet flat on the ground. And honestly, I didn't notice the seating myself until I heard it from other people. Hey, but no complaint from me. Okay, now let's talk about the solo traveler experience. Now, as a solo cruiser, I felt really comfortable and welcomed on board by both the crew and my fellow cruisers. Throughout the cruise, I did have a few to strike up conversations like at dinner or around the ship, which was, you know, pretty nice. Now, Explora Journeys has a hosted solo program where you can meet other solo travelers, and that was a great touch. Now, on my sailing, we did have like a daily meetup at different times, and it was always listed on the schedule. The only time we didn't have a meetup was, I think there was a day where there was a long port day, but other than that, we always met. Now, some of the events were like an afternoon tea meetup, bar meetup, and the host even arranged like a solo dinner one night. Now, I connected with and hung out with actually quite a few of the other solos, even outside of the meetups. The entire solo experience on Explora Journeys made me feel like I wasn't just an afterthought as a solo, which can sometimes happen on larger ships that have a focus on families or couples. The ship offers a lot of spaces designed for relaxation or solo activities, and I never felt isolated. Now, I really don't have any suggestions for improvement because I felt like it was a great solo experience for solo cruisers. And I especially like that it provided opportunities for older solo cruisers to connect, because that can be a little scary sometimes. Because you may think that all the other solo cruisers will be a lot younger than you and that you won't have anyone to connect with if that's what you want to do. Now, honestly, for some of the other solos, I couldn't tell that they didn't know each other before the cruise. Next, let's talk about the entertainment. So now, I enjoyed the entertainment on board. I enjoyed the onboard music performances, but sometimes it did feel like just something to do to pass the time. They had a performing duo and the ship performers that like did covers, and it was nice and relaxing, especially after dinner, you know, in the evenings. They had violinists, guitarists, so it was nice. Now, to me, yes, the entertainment actually fit the overall vibe of the ship, which is focused more on relaxation and less on like high energy entertainment. Now, if I'm being honest, the entertainment could have been just a little more creative or entertaining, at least with the ship singers. Now, while the performances were nice, I feel like for a luxury cruise that could have been more diversity in the performances, and maybe like with the ship performances, maybe add a little dancing, I don't know, something to kind of spice it up just a little bit. So yeah, for the entertainment, I could see like bumping it up, making it just a little more engaging. Now, let's move on to the shore excursions. Now, my Costa Maya shore excursion was top notch. Now, I was concerned about the excursions because they were a bit more expensive than I've seen on like traditional lines. I went to a guacamole and salsa making excursion, and it was so much more than I expected. We had a spacious, climate-controlled coach for transportation, and that was a huge step up from the typical crowded buses on other lines. So the excursion was very hands-on, and we even got a surprise tequila tasting afterward. The entire day was fun, it was educational, and very relaxing. Now we went to Belize City, and I also did a land tour in Belize City, which was okay. But I don't think it was a negative for Explora Journeys, because I really couldn't find any excursion that I really cared for. And I looked through the cruise line and even at third-party vendors. So I just picked a random 2-hour land tour for about $80. And as they say, you get what you pay for. So it was in a much smaller van, which was more cramped than the coach that we had on the prior excursion. It just wasn't spectacular, but I can't say that I really expected anything more for $80 either. What I liked was, for your excursions, you were escorted to the right locations, just like you were escorted through the embarkation process. Oh, and I want to mention that Belize City was a tender port as well. And their tender, that was one of the largest and most spacious tender boats that I had ever been on. Now, other than the pre-booking experience, I really can't name anything that I would improve for my excursion experiences. All right, now let's talk about the luxury experience on board. So what I liked, Explora I really truly delivered on the luxury front. The thermal spa, it was absolutely incredible. After a day of sightseeing, I spent some time in their thermal spa, and it was just like absolutely pure relaxation. The heated loungers, the sauna, the steam room, everything that you need to unwind and recharge. Plus the fact that it was like never crowded. Whether it was one of the heated loungers, a room experience, or the hydro pool, I could always do the spa experience like whenever I wanted. Now, what could be improved? There was nothing particularly negative here. But I do want to point out that for some people, the spa could feel a bit limited compared to like other cruise lines that offer bigger spa areas. However, with those bigger spa areas on the traditional lines comes more people and crowds during the popular times. So for those of us who enjoy a peaceful, calming experience, the thermal spa on Explora Journeys is definitely a highlight. Okay, service. Now, service is a huge part of the luxury experience, and here's what I liked. Now, the crew, they were absolutely fantastic. From the embarkation to the excursions, I was escorted and taken care of throughout. I never felt like I had to fight for attention, and the staff, they genuinely seemed like they cared about making my experience as enjoyable as possible, making sure I had everything that I needed. They acknowledged my birthday at the solo dinner, and they also sent a gift bag to my suite. Very nice touch. But overall, I would say the service is a solid experience. So now, after reflecting on my time aboard Explora I, here's my final verdict. Now, this was by far the most relaxing and stress-free cruising that I have ever done. From the personalized service to never having to rush to events or meals, everything was designed to make you feel like you had time to breathe. But is there anyone who might not like Explora Journeys? Possibly. Yes, every cruise line is not for everyone. And if you're looking for adventure like water slides and rope courses and the likes, you won't find that here. If you're big on theater production shows and activities on top of activity, just nonstop, or if you're looking for a highly energetic cruise director and loud music and activities on the pool decks and crowded nightclub experiences, yeah, this is not for you. But if you would love a relaxing experience and like being pampered and enjoy not just great food, but culinary experiences, and if you're into wellness type experiences, this luxury cruise experience is for you. Now, would I sail again? Absolutely. Whether you're looking for a luxury experience or just a more relaxed, crowd-free cruise, Explora I delivered. It's the kind of ship that just allows you to unwind and really enjoy your time on board. You really feel like you're on vacation, without the feeling of being rushed or being crowded. And if you like that and you're thinking about booking it, I definitely highly recommend it. Now, if you enjoyed this review, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more solo cruising tips, reviews, and travel advice. Now, if you have any questions about Explora Journeys or solo cruising, drop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And if you're ready to book your next solo cruise, whether it's on Explora Journeys or on my Explora Journeys Explora II group cruise next April, feel free to email me at cheryl@travelwithsig.com. All right, see you on the next adventure. Are you ready for your first or your next cruise and need assistance? Scan the QR code and let's work together to plan your customized cruise experience.